subscribe and click the bell icon to turn on notifications.
Hi, welcome to a new lesson. In this lesson, we will be studying Camtasia. Camtasia is a powerful tool that will allow you to create professional-looking video effectively and efficiently. We'll start with the basics and then go into some of the fun things that you can do with this tool. The first aspect that we need to learn is how to import media into your Camtasia production. You can add video, audio, or images that already exist in your files. And you can also record. You can record your own videos. Using the option record, you can record applications, slideshows, websites, audio, and more. You can even record full screen or choose to record just one section of that screen. Yeah, the record option is very cool, but we're gonna see it on a later video. In this video, we're going to be focusing on items that already exist in your library. To import the first item, you want to click in the green button in the middle of your media bin. Once you click on that, you will have access to your files. In this case, I created a carpet called Camtasia lesson. Here I have all the files that we're going to be using in this sample. First, I will add this video. I click open. Now I have it as part of my media bin. Here, I can easily recognize that this is a video thanks to this tag. Now, in order to add another item, I simply go to the bottom left corner, the plus sign. I have the option to import media from my files or from Google Drive. In this case, I will continue to import media from my files. I click on it. Now I want to import this image. Okay, now as you can see, I can easily recognize my video from my image thanks to the tags, and I can repeat the process in order to import more media. This time we're going to do it differently. If you hover over the plus sign, you will be able to see that with the function Ctrl+I, you can go directly into importing new media. Ctrl+I, and it will take me directly to the last source I imported media from. I add a new image. Now I have my two images, and I repeat the process to get my audio in. Okay, so I have video, image, and audio as part of the files in my media bin. I'm still missing one image. I will use the shortcut and add that to my bin. Okay, it looks like I'm set to work. Perfect. Now that I know how to add videos, images, and audio into my Camtasia project, let's see how I can add each of those items into my timeline. The easiest way to perform this action is by dragging and dropping into the track. Now I have my video as part of my production in track 1. Now what happens if I want to add an image or a video that plays at the same time? Well, that's easy. You can create as many tracks as you want. And how do you do that? You can use the plus sign here to add a track. Now I have a second track. In that track, I can add an image. And this means that both this image and the video I uploaded first will be playing at the same time during the duration of time of the image. Perfect. And as I mentioned, I can add as many tracks as I want, continue to add images that will display at the same time, videos or audio. I can add all of the items into the track. Now, I don't need these items just yet. I need to do some editing first. So, how can I remove items from my tracks? Well, the easiest way to do it is just as you would remove an item from any other tool. You can right click on it and you can delete the item. It will be deleted from the track, but as you can see, it would still be part of your media bin. So you can use it at a later time without having to go through the whole process of adding it to the bin. I will remove all of this. Perfect. Now that we only have the video in the timeline, it's time to prepare that video for our production. In order to prepare that video for our production, the first thing that we need to do is to see what we're working with. As you can see, this video has an introduction and it has a closing that is out of Excel. What we're trying to do is just to keep the core content of Excel to make a new video. In order to do that, we will have to remove both the introduction and the closing of the video, and also remove the audio. In this example, the audio is in Spanish, and I would like to use the same data in order to produce a video that is in English. So we're going to see how we can do that. The first step is to remove the introduction. In order to remove the introduction, we're going to use the cursor. As you can see, there is a cursor that runs through the timeline. There are two tags at each side of that cursor. When you click on them, you can use them to select a portion of the timeline. To remove your selection, simply double-click on the cursor. When you move through the cursor, you will see the exact moment of the video in the main image or screen display. In this case, I want to remove the introduction, so the first frame that I want to keep is the one in Excel. Once I have that frame open, I will select and highlight all of the introduction. That's the section I want to remove. In order to remove it, I simply right-click on it and click delete. Now, I have removed the introduction and I have exactly what I need. I have the video starting on the main Excel page. I'll do the same with the closing. I need to move to the end of the video to see that closing. I will move the cursor all the way there, and I can see that there is a closing right here. So I want the video to end on Excel. Therefore, I will this time click on the right-hand side tag and extend it all the way to the end. Right-click on it and delete. Now I have the core video only. What am I missing? Well, I still need to remove the audio from the video. And how can we do that? Well, there are multiple ways to do that. The easiest way is to silence the audio. If you don't need any of the original audio, you can simply right-click on the track. You can choose to silence the audio. Also, there is a shortcut, Shift plus S, in order to silence audio on a video. Now the video is silenced and I can record over it. Now, what happens if I will need some of that audio? Then there is another thing that we can do. You can right-click on the track. You will have the option to separate both the audio and the video. Now you will have a track for your audio and a track for your video. This means that you can edit the audio track to keep only some parts that you will need to use in your video.
So let's see how we would go about removing only some parts of that audio. The first thing that I need to do is to select the audio track only. Once I have the audio track selected, I can use the same method of the cursor and the tags to remove certain portions. That is one option. The other option is, let's say that I only want to keep the introduction of the audio in Spanish. What's the easiest way to do that? Well, the easiest way to do that is simply by clicking at the very end of my audio portion and dragging it all the way down, let's say to the 20-second mark, which is my introduction. In that case, I would be only keeping this portion of the audio, which is still in time with the video, in Spanish. The same would apply if I wanted to keep only the ending of the video or a middle portion. For example, I could just drag and keep the middle by dragging from both sides. In that same way, I could keep the ending of the video by dragging only the beginning all the way to the, let's say, last 20 seconds. Very easy, right? Okay, now what happens if I want to keep different portions of the audio? Well, in that case, we need to work a little bit differently. So one option, for example, if you wanted to keep only the beginning and the ending, could be to delete, right? Everything else that it's on the middle. And how can we do that? Well, the first thing that we need to do is to place the cursor right where we want to start deleting, and then dragging all the way to where we want to delete. Therefore, I want to keep the first 20 seconds and let's say the last 20 seconds. That's all I want to keep. So once I have it selected, I can proceed to delete that. Now, do you think my video is going to be affected? Well, probably it will. And how can I prevent that? The easiest way to prevent that is by locking the track. So you can select using this lock symbol right here to lock this track. It means that all media in this track will not be open to editing and it will be unchanged. I lock the track and now I can proceed to delete. I right click on it and I delete all that middle portion. Now I have only the introduction and the closing of the audio for my video. Awesome. Now, what happens if I wanted to edit single audio files independently, or if I wanted to export them to include on another video? Well, you can create multiple cuts in a single audio file to manage each of those portions independently. The easiest way to do that is by using the split function. In order to do that, let's first reset this timeline. You can use Ctrl+C as you would do in any other tool in order to reset the change that you made. Then let's move this cursor to the introduction and let's say again the 20-second mark. Since my other track is locked, I don't have to worry about making any changes to the video, so I can just right click on the cursor and choose to split all. Once I do that, now I have two separate audio files. If I take this cursor to the ending, let's say I want to keep the introduction, the ending, and the middle portion of that audio as separate items, I can right click on the cursor and split select it again. Now, each of those three items can be managed independently. I can increase the volume, I can export them, and I can do everything to each of them independently. Fantastic. Now, another way to do that, if I didn't have the track locked, or I had multiple tracks and I couldn't go about, making sure all the tracks are locked, is by, let's unlock the track first. Now you would select the track that you want to edit only. You would right click on the cursor and now you can split select it. By doing this, you will be splitting only the track that you have selected and the other one will be unedited. Fantastic. You can repeat the process again as many times as you want to. You first select the track, then you right click on the cursor, split select it, and now we have 3 separate audio items. Now, for the purpose of this particular video, we do not need audio because we want to record a new audio in English. So you can proceed to delete all of the audio from the timeline. Now, as you can do in any other tool, you can simply hold Control and click all the items that you want to select. Once you have all the items selected, just right click on any of those items and delete them. Done. Now, the only thing that we have on our timeline is our core Excel video that we can record over, that we can create introduction and closing for. The first thing that we're going to see is how to create a nice introduction for this video using images and audio. Let's see how we can do that. Ready to create that introduction? Well, the first step is to see what Camtasia has available. After that, we'll go into the process of creating our own introduction. If you go to the library, you will find a Camtasia library. That library has some preset templates that Camtasia has developed for all users, including icons, introductions, music tracks, and outros. Let's take a look into the introductions that they have available for us. You can simply click on one of these introductions and import it into your timeline. Very cool, right? Let's import this one. Now we can preset it. That is a sample introduction that has already been created and that we can edit to have it as our own. Something more classic, like this. It looks fantastic, right? All right, let's use that one. Now, of course, I don't want that introduction to be playing over my video, right? So I have to move my video to start right after the introduction. Now I would move the introduction into the same track, and I can see that they are falling one after the other. Fantastic. As you can see, this introduction seems to be a group. It means that it's a combination of multiple items into a single item of the timeline. Let's play it. It looks great. Now, what we would need to change in this case is the title. And how can we do that? What would be the easiest way? Well, no, you don't need to separate the group. If you like the colors, if you like what you see, and you just want to change the title, that's actually very easy. You can set the cursor to the exact moment where the title is displayed, and then click on the main screen. If you click on the main screen, you will be able to select that title as if you were in PowerPoint. Once you select it, you can change it. In this case, we can do basic Excel formulas. And now we have our title. Okay, let's play that. As you can see, we now have our title ready. Fantastic, right? Now, editing the title was very easy, right? What happens if I don't really like the colors that Camtasia provides in the template? Can that be edited as well, or is it too hard? Well, that can also be edited, and it's not hard at all. Let's see an example. When I'm working on this, I like to zoom in a little bit so that I can see better what I'm working on. Let's say that what I don't really like are the colors of the main screen. I don't like the contrast of that green with the gray, so I want to change that. How can we do that? The first step is to go to the plus sign here in shapes. Again, all of these items that you see displayed in the introduction, all of these shapes are independent items that have been animated to look like this. So let's see how we can edit each of those independent shapes. The first step, click on the plus sign. Now that I open the group, I can see that each of those items is an independent shape, right? Awesome. So what I need to do is to find the shape in display right now. I can confirm that it's the green one, this one, okay? So I don't like that green. Let me do that and let me change it to another color. Let's say I actually want the background to be gray. Now I don't like the shape that is holding the text, so I want to change that as well. I can easily find that it's this one. When you click on it, it will be highlighted in the main screen. And let me change the color. Um, let's say I want to do something white here. Okay, fantastic. But now the letters are not very visible. Looks like I have to go back. In order to go back, I can simply click on the X here in Shapes if I don't want to use that timeline again. And the first that I see here is the text. When I click on the text, I have the option to change the font, the color, or even the size. In this case, I just want to change the color and I will do something gray. Fantastic. So now I have it ready and I have it just as I want to see it. Now I did mention that all of these items have been animated to create this introduction. And how can I do that? How can I create my own animations in this video? Well, we're going to create our own introduction, custom made, and through that process, we will learn how to animate objects and how to add text to those items as well. So let's see how we can create our own introduction. So yes, Camtasia provides a lot of good templates, right? For example, this one. It's a great animation that you can edit and customize to fit your video. But there is nothing like the control of creating your own animation and knowing that it's unique. So let's get started and see how we can do that. The first step is to close the timeline for the Octagon Brigade. We don't need that anymore and we're gonna close it. Then I want to zoom out so that I can see better what I'm working with, and I want to remove this template that we used from Camtasia because I'm going to create a new interaction or introduction, should I say. Now, the first step is to go back to my media. I want to use this image. It's the first thing that I want to see people, that I want people to see, right? I mean, it's Excel, it's telling you what the video is going to be about, so I want to use this image. Now, as you can see, the image is located in the middle, and then in the background, we see white. Okay, that's the canvas. You can edit that by using project settings, and you can choose whatever color you would like. So you can choose black, for example, or you can choose white. In this case, let's use white. Okay, awesome. Now, the next step is to animate this image. Right now, if I play it, it would look just like an image, right? There's nothing very fun about that, or it doesn't even look like an introduction. So how can we fix that? Let's first see how we can update the behaviors of an image. Once you're on an image, you can go to the behaviors section on the left-hand side menu and click on it. Now here, you can choose from a list of different behaviors, and we can see how they would perform. For example, when you hover over it, you can see a sample. In this case, for an introduction, I typically like to use a scale. So let's see how it would look. You drag and drop the effect to the image that you want to animate. Now the image has that behavior. Let's play it. So now that gives us a sense of an introduction, right? The image comes into play and then it leaves back the frame. Fantastic. So now I have the first piece. Now, it would be nice to have some audio to accompany that image, right? How can we do that? Well, let's go back to my media. I had some introductory audio here, pre-saved, and I'm simply gonna drag it into the timeline, into another track, because I needed to play at the same time, and align it with my introduction. Now I don't only have an image, but I have also some sound that comes with that introduction. Camtasia actually provides you with some sample sounds as well. If you go to the library, you can find here some music tracks. You can test those music tracks, and if they align with your video, just use them. Otherwise, you can import audio, as we saw at the beginning of the video, from your files. Okay, great. So now I have the introduction to my video, but I still want to add the title of my video, maybe some important details about what people should expect in that video. So let's go back to the media library. Now that I'm back in the media library, it's time to add the background image. I want a background image to host the title of the video and some details of what the video is about. So I have in my library this image that I pre-uploaded from my files, and it is the image that I would like to use as a base. I will drag the image into the timeline right next to the Excel image so that the transition is immediate between the image and my background. Now, as you can see, the image is not aligned with my canvas, so I can align it simply by moving it in the canvas and expanding it as I would do in PowerPoint or other editing tools. I will drag it to make sure that all the key components of the image are in the frame. Fantastic. Now that I have that ready, I don't want the title to just be laying on top of the cover image, but I actually pre-created this image in PowerPoint prior to this video. When I import this object into the timeline, I would like to import it actually to play at the same time of the image. Now I have it. Fantastic. I will expand the image time so that it covers the duration of my object, and I will move the object into the right hand side. I want for it to host the title only, but without covering the key components of my background image. I can reduce the size simply by dragging, as you would do in any other tool, and I'll increase in height just to make sure that it doesn't cover any of the key components. Now, this is great. When I click on the object, as you can see in the right hand side, you have a menu for that object. So you can change the opacity, the size, the position, and more details. I want to reduce the opacity, let's say to 70%. Fantastic. Now, I do want this section or object to be animated. I'm going to add a behavior for it. In this case, I want the object to slide. In order to add that animation or behavior, I can just click over it and drag it to the object. Once I have it over the object, I drop and the behavior has been added. Let's sample it. Great. Now, I like it, but I don't like the way that it covers the main components of the background image when it comes in. So how can I fix that? Well, if I click on that object, now in the right hand side, you will see that I have two options. I have a visual property option for the object itself, and I also have the behaviors. In this case, I can choose that the direction is from the right. Now when I preview it, we can see that the object comes from the right. Awesome. Now we need to add the title of the project. In order to do that, I will move my cursor right back into the moment where I want the title to display. And I will look at the menu on the left-hand side. From that menu, I will choose Annotations. Annotations will allow you to add text, either with shapes or as independent text notes. You can also add arrows or lines, shapes, and many other options that we will review later in the video. For now, let's focus on the text. And how can you add the text into a specific location in the video? Well, very easy. You will simply click on the type of text that you want to use, hold, and drop it right where you want to add it. In this case, I want to add it right here. You can double click to edit, and in this case, let's continue with our sample title, Basic Excel Formulas. Now you can see that on the right hand side, I have a callout editing section. In here, I can edit the color of those letters. I can also edit the size or the font. In this case, you can also expand the text like this. Now I have my title in display. Now, if you look back in the timeline, it does look like the title is playing after the object and the image. So I need to fix that timing. First, I will expand the image to host both the object and the text. I will expand the object to host the text, and I will expand the text to come in a little earlier. All of this you can do by simply clicking and dragging on each of the ends of the items in the timeline. So let's play it. Let's see how this would look like. Fantastic. So it looks like we have the main components of that video, or at least of the introduction. Now, it does feel like something is missing. It seems like the transitions between the items are very sharp. So how can we fix that? And how can we add some animation to those transitions? Well, that can be done using the transition option in the menu of the left-hand side. Before we do that, let's add some animation to the title. I want to add a behavior to it as well, and I want for it to slide. We click on it, drag it, and drop it into the title. Let's preview that. Fantastic. Now, since the object is coming from the right, I want that title to come from the right as well. Do you remember how I can do that? Well, now in that text, I have the option to edit the text, and I also have the option to edit the behavior. I want it to come from the right. And the text, I want it to come from right to left. Fantastic. Okay, looks like now I'm ready to work on the transitions. And how can I do that? So first, I need a transition between the Excel and the background image. So I will go to the left-hand side menu, click on Transitions, and that would open a display of many different transition options. If you hover over those options, you can see how they would look like. In this case, we're going to be working with Fade Through Black. It's a simple transition, but effective. Fantastic. In order to add a transition, you can just click on it, drag it, and add it in between the videos or items that you want to transition. So now I have a transition between the Excel image and the background image. And I'm going to add another transition between the Excel background image and the video. Great. Let's see how that would look like. Nice. It looks like we got a very simple transition, but effective, now ready for the introduction. In this case, you can edit the timing, of course, and you can also edit other factors such as the type of behavior or animation that you choose. In this case, for example, I want to edit the text and I want to make it about the object so that it flies in as a whole sentence and that the letters don't come in a different order. Once you are happy with your introduction, a recommendation is to group that introduction as a single item. That would make it a lot easier to move around and it will prevent that you accidentally modify the introduction. And how can you do that? Well, that's very easy. You can hold Control. So you would hold Control. Then you can click on each of those items that are part of the introduction. And once you've done selecting all the items, you right click on any of them and you click Group, just as you would do in any other tool. Now that you have it grouped, let's play it. Great. Now we have our introduction ready. Every time that you create a new section of your video, it is important to take a look and review the transitions. The best way to do that is to play it through. So we're going to play our transition. Looks like the items move away nice. And now there's a moment where there's only the canvas showing. And let's see what the problem is. Let's zoom in to get a better look. Awesome. We can see that the transition only populated into the video, but did not populate into the introduction. Therefore, we need to fix it. In order to fix it, you can simply right-click on the transition to delete it, and now click on the fade through black transition that we had originally for consistency, drag it, and drop it in between the two sections. Now, if we play it back, we can see the items, and we can see a clean transition. Fantastic. So now our introduction is ready. Again, this is a simple introduction, but effective. Now I need to create the ending for the video. For the ending, I want to use the same image that I used for the introduction. In order to do that, the first step is to add the image. To add the image, I will go back to my media. In my media, I will click on the image, hold it, and drag it all the way to the end of the video. Now remember, this is only a static image, so I need to add some animation to it in order to make it have a feeling of a closing. To do that, I will click on the image and I will go to the behaviors option in the left-hand side menu. When I click on behaviors, I'm going to choose scale this time. Scale is a great option for closings because you can choose to modify only how the image exits the frame. Let's see what I'm talking about. You will click on it, drag it all the way to your image, and now your image has the effect. Now, in the right hand side of the screen, you can see the options to edit the behavior. You can see there's in, during, and out. It means how the image comes into the timeline, how it acts while it is in the timeline, and how it will leave the timeline. In this case, I don't want to have any action when it comes in. I only want it to leave, giving a sense that the video is ending. So in style, I will choose none, during none, and then I will choose for it to shrink when it goes out and ease out of the frame. Let's play it. Great. Now the animation works. It looks like we're missing the transition, and maybe we can reduce the time a little bit, right? It is just the closing and we don't want it to be overextend. And then to add the transition, remember we can go to transitions in the menu, choose fade through black for consistency, and drag it to be between these two sections. I play it through, and now I have an ending. And so now I have the closing ready for my video, and I have the introduction ready for my video. It's time to add the audio into my video. Now, how can I do that? How can I narrate over an image or video that already exists? Well, that Camtasia makes that actually very easy. I can simply place my cursor at the very beginning of the video where I want the audio to start. And then from the menu in the left hand side, I can go to voice narration. With voice narration, it will recognize my microphone. I can choose which microphone I would like to use. And then as soon as I'm ready, I can start a voice recording. When I start a voice recording, it will record over the video that I have in the timeline. And as soon as I stop it, it will give me the opportunity to save it. And once I save it, it will automatically be added into my timeline in a separate track and in line with the section of the video that I was narrating. I can then edit it and modify it as I want to. Using that feature, you can create the whole narration for a pre-existing video. Once you have the full narration ready for the video, all that you got left to do is to emphasize your words with callouts, annotations, or other cool features that Camtasia offers that can help people focus on a specific object in your screen or help you emphasize a concept that you are narrating. In order to do that, you can go to your annotations in the menu of the left-hand side. And from the annotations, you will have the option to add sketches, to add blurs or highlights, shapes, arrows, and text. Let's see how the blur or highlight work. It is a great tool. For example, you can blur a specific section that you don't want people to see just yet. You can highlight a section using the spotlight feature, or you can highlight using a color. Let's first see the spotlight. With the spotlight, you can simply click it and drag it to a section of the screen. So for example, let's say that in this portion of the video, you want the audience to focus on the concepts of sum and average. You can adjust the section to only highlight those two concepts so that it emphasizes what you're discussing at the moment. As you play through it, those two concepts will be highlighted and the rest of the screen blurred. As soon as you're done, the rest of the screen will restore to its normal appearance. Now you can remove all of these using just right click and delete with no problem. Let's see another example. In here, we're creating the formula and then you're showing how to choose the right value and complete the formula. In order to complete the formula, you have to close the parentheses up top. So a way to make emphasis on that could be by highlighting. So you can choose to highlight, for example, here, and adjust the highlight to that specific section right here. Okay, so that people can be aware that you're making reference to that section of the screen. Of course, you can perform the same action using the highlight option, where you can blur the rest of the screen as we saw a minute ago and highlight the aspect that you're mentioning. Great. Now we know how to blur or highlight specific sections of the screen. With that in mind, let's see how we can also use this feature to make callouts. You go to the first option in the menu and you have the callout option. Now let's move to another section of the video. Let's see, for example, here, where we're trying to introduce the formula. Let's make a callout that tells or let the audience know that only certain type of data is allowed. We can choose whatever of these objects and just drag it and drop it where we would like to add it. Once we have it on the screen, we can modify the size, adjust the placement, and also adjust all of the sections of that callout. Now that I have the callout ready, I can edit text by simply double clicking on it to add my callout. In this case, I would just say sample callout. Fantastic. Now when I click on it, you can see on the right hand side, I have the opportunity to edit the text. That would be the font, the color, the size. I can also edit the object itself. In this example, I can choose the type of bubble that I'm using. I can choose the number 1. I can also choose a cloud, for example. Let's go with number 1. Then I can also choose the color. You can choose green so that it matches the theme of the video. And it looks like we now have it ready. So in this way, you can use callouts or highlights to emphasize a concept or to give a warning for the audience. Awesome. Now we know how to split audio and video, how to create simple introductions and endings for the videos, how to add callouts, how to highlight, or how to blur specific sections of the frame. It looks like there's only one basic skill that we're missing for you to be ready to create the first simple Camtasia video. So let's take a look into that skill. First, we will remove this callout. Now that we have the callout removed, we will move to the next item. Let's zoom in to look better and give some room for the video. So what happens if when you are narrating over a video, you realize that you need some more time on a specific frame? For example, let's say that right now in this frame, I need more time to explain the sum result, and I don't have enough time on the video to word it. What we can do is to split this section. That will be the first thing to do. You can split it. Now you have a separation here. You will add some more room. Fantastic. Now, I want this frame to be a little longer. And how can I do that? Okay, I can click on it. Okay, so I would move to the end of this frame. I will click on it and I will use the option extend frame. Now I can extend the frame by the amount of seconds between this section and the next section. So the maximum is 1.87 seconds. So now, as you can see from here, from the dotted mark, I have an extended frame. Play, and that's going to stay frozen on that frame until it reaches the next section and it regains the action of the video. Fantastic. If I wanted to undo that, I could just do Ctrl-Z to go back to having the full video ready for publishing. The video is now ready for publishing. One last recommendation is to play the video back right before you publish it. Make sure that it sounds and looks just as you want it to. You can zoom out, make sure that all the sections connect and have transitions. And once you're ready, you can decide to export it. When you click on export, you will have a drop-down menu where you can decide to export it as a local file or upload it into YouTube, Google Drive, Vimeo, or any of the other options in this drop-down. Now you have the skills to create a simple yet effective and professional looking video using Camtasia. Camtasia is a really powerful tool, and in this video we only scratch the surface of what it has to offer. In future videos, we will be covering effects and interactivity options that will allow viewers to engage with your video. Thank you for attending this lesson, and again, stay tuned for more in Camtasia.
If you're not a subscriber, click down below to subscribe so you get notified about similar videos we upload. Now, to get the course transcript and follow along with this video, click right over there. And click over there to watch more videos on YouTube from Simon Says It.